Really like the idea of, just like making a film. I wanted to make a film that sort of like was in the tradition of all the classic outlaw films and outlaw mythology that exists not just in cinema but in American history as well. And I wanted to do something that was sort of a meditation on that, a study on that.
I really loved the world that it took place in. I always wanted to do a film that took place in that kind of world, and I loved the relationship between our two characters and my relationship with my daughter, and I thought David was really interesting.
I hope that they go into it and come out of it feeling as if they had seen something that felt very familiar, but that they'd never, something that maybe they saw once a long time ago but had forgotten about.
Oh, it's funny, having kids, it makes you feel just totally different about any kind of, all the roles that I take and the movies that I see, and it just sort of changes your perception about everything. It definitely made me a little bit more sensitive to the kind of father-daughter relationships in the movie.
The title is something that in some ways predates the movie, because I had heard this old folk song and I heard some lyrics from it that then stuck in my head and sort of turned themselves into something else. So when I went back to try to figure out what that song was and what the words were, this wasn't anything it wasn't similar at all. My memory of the casting process was that it was very quick and simple, because we sent the script to the actors that I wanted, and they said yes. And they're here with us right now. And maybe they have a different perspective on that, but that's how I recall it.
Any thoughts?
Well, I can't speak to who he wanted and didn't want, but eventually the script came to me, and Rooney was already doing it, and that's what I was told.
It's so weird, the same thing happened to me, and I was told that you were doing it. David.
That was the plan all along. The weird thing about time is that it makes everything like you get the rose-colored glasses, so every scene feels like it was a lot of fun to shoot and really easy, but I know that wasn't the case. And I would say that some of the tough scenes to shoot were, involving kittens, because they don't like to pay attention to what you're doing. I mean, we looked at There Will Be Blood, we looked at the work of Harris Savides, who is a master of, using darkness, especially in a film like The Yards, which is an exquisitely dark film. We looked at what Agnes Godard did with Claire Denis, and we also just found this amazing archive of old photos from Texas from like the 30s through the 80s. And we used a lot of that as reference material. And we ultimately wound up using still photography as a reference more than